Greetings, race fans, and welcome to Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Racing on Slow Motion Broadcasting. J.R. Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary, Mr. Kevin Miller, and in the production facility, pushing your buttons and twiddling your knobs, Mr. Mike Braun. And this week, week 4, brings us to the iconic Sandown circuit, situated in the heart of Melbourne's southeast. This legendary 3.1-kilometer track has been a battleground for some of the most thrilling moments in Aussie motorsport history. Since its opening in 1962, Sandown has witnessed a spectacular array of racing, from open-wheel titans in the Tasman series, featuring legends like Jack Brabham and Jim Clark, to the fierce touring car battles that define Australian motorsport. The roar of V8s has echoed through these grandstands for decades, hosting the prestigious Sandown 500 endurance race, a true test of driver skill and team strategy. And the circuit, along with its long straights and challenging corners, has seen countless lead changes, heroic overtakes, and unforgettable finishes. And who could forget the intense Holden versus Ford rivalries of the Group C era, with icons like Peter Brock and Alan Moffat trading paint. And remember the early days of the Sandown 500, a grueling 6-hour event that forged its place in Australian motorsport folklore. And even before this circuit's official opening, the grounds of Sandown played a significant role in Australian automotive history, hosting what is widely considered the first ever car race on the Australian continent back in 1904. And this rich heritage is woven into the very fabric of this fantastic track. And today, Sandown continues to be a vital part of Australian racing calendar, hosting a variety of national and state level championships. Aussie supercars standing out on that list and keeping the spirit of competition alive on its hollow ground. So buckle up. We are about to add another chapter to the storied history of Sandown circuit. Now, Kenan, pretty interesting course here today, and we just got a little glimpse of one of the interesting features. The curbs around here are brutal, but the thing that stands out about this one, this is definitely a high horsepower track with a couple of straightaways. One is about 0.8 of a click. The other long straight is about 0.9. So it's a couple of beefy straightaways strung together by some challenging sections. As we're seeing here, we see Suresh Kumar fighting his way through and somebody looping behind him. So these drivers have a challenge in front of them. And what are they going to have to do to put down consistently fast laps here in Sandown?
Yeah, just like you said, it's a high-speed track. The way they're going to find success on this track is by managing their braking points. The two most important corners are the ones leading on to the longest straightaway, and not overshooting the corner or running wide so you can make the most out of that is where you'll see the difference made between the fast guys and the slow guys. There is also, you see all the arm code just right next to the track. These not really anywhere where you run off you're going to find grass or sand. A couple sections like through the 1 and 2, but as you get through the end of the track on the final corners, if you go off, you're going to connect to the arm code. It's going to cost you a lot of time getting into it. So it's a lot of different challenges to it. It's certainly quite a contrast compared to last week, where many would describe it as being more of a technical track than this one. But this track's going to test every bit of the limits of not getting too much on the curves and spinning out, not going too far past and in the dirt.
Yeah, super tight confines out here for sure. Those barriers and walls are right up next to the track. It almost looks like a kind of Detroit or Long Beach style street course here at Sandown. So definitely old school. A track like this would not be built today with no run out and all these opportunities to bend up your material. But practice winding down now as we are riding along with Eggert here, and look at that practice sheet or timing sheet. Got Stephen Case, Mikovits, and Poborgi up top in the inter-alien class, our usual suspects. But look at De Silva, just thrown down the gauntlet. He's pipped Stephen Case by 0.14 of a second, throwing down a 109.469, and he is a Inter 1 driver. So right now he's put down the fast lap today. The next Inter behind him is about 0.6 behind him, and he's got every alien driver in his wake. So good showing so far by De Silva. We weren't watching this part. I can't tell you if he got lucky with the draft there or not, but time will tell as this one unfolds.
Yeah, and just looking at the lap times, top 13 are all within 1 second of each other. the two long straightaways, that's going to keep everybody together. I'd expect this to really hold a little more tight as a pack. I don't think you're going to see, if people get through the corners correctly, you'll see them be able to hang on to going down the two straightaways to stay right with them. It'll make for quite an interesting race, that many cars right over top of each other.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. And I gotta say, I dug around in the history books a little bit about this place. I talked about a little bit of it on the intro, but if you have a second, go ahead and pull up the Wikipedia page for Sandown. It has some really impressive history. Formula One, I mentioned Clark and Brabham and some of the titans of the wild Formula One racing back in the 60s, and they all ran here. So this is every bit as much of a kind of temple of motorsport here in Australia as some place like Bathurst. So it's a really important track in Australian motorsports history, and really quite interesting. I mean, we're over, you heard that 1903, so we've been flogging cars out here for over 100 years, getting close to 100 and a quarter. So very interesting history out here at Sandown, and I think some exciting racing. It was reputed to be dangerous for different cars at different points over its history, and we're seeing a little bit of it here. You want to maximize your line through some of these S's, of course, but I don't think these F4 cars are really going to like banging over these curbs because they are substantial, particularly at speed.
Yeah, they don't like the curbs at all, but the one thing they do like is we were watching Dan Swan back there going through this 6 and 7 section. That's very high speed S's that you certainly wouldn't see a GT car or something without all the aerodynamic prowess that a car have. They're carrying a lot of speed through these corners, even as tight as they are. And then you see them go a little wide into the grass, which that's all just a byproduct of how hard you're going to push it. If you go too fast, you're going to go running wide, and it's finding that fine line of how hard you can push it and not overstep the car.
Yeah, too right. And these cars have tons of mechanical grip and significant aero, as you're seeing from some of this in-car footage here. And as Ken pointed out, not a lot of power, though. Only 160 horsepower. They're very light, of course, but they are not powerful beasts by any means. So it is going to be key, as Ken told you, to get your braking points right, not over slow, and also not get too much slip angle in these things. It looks dramatic, and it's fun to see him going opposite lock through some of these corners, but it scrubs off a lot of speed, not the fastest way through. So the key is smoothness and precision, and it will definitely those things will be tested on this track tonight. And look at this great shot as they come down through the S's. Such a cool track, and it is one of those historical tracks that would never be built today because the drivers and race organizers would not put up with the hazards around here. But we're going to see some thrilling stuff tonight. It's going to be a good one.
And the racing's going to be really good. Just to your point, it's one of the few beautiful tracks left out there where there isn't. They don't look like a parking lot. If you go wide, you're touching sand, you're touching grass. It's not always just a free gift to go wide and still have the safety of your car and your track position.
You see a little bit of aggressive move there during this practice session, and something to keep in mind if you're just joining us for the first time. Out in the wilds on the public servers in iRacing, these cars can be a little on the fragile side. You don't want to do a lot of wheel banging. You don't want to brush the wall, but damage is off. Sim Racers Group is intending this series to be an entry series into the faster cars, into F3. And so they want to maximize seat time here, give these drivers an opportunity to get out there, run a whole race, and not go back to the pits after a small mistake. And if you drive these things in the public service, you know that a small mistake will blow the wheels off, blow body panels off of these things, and you'll end up having to flatbed it back to the pit. So damage is off here, and Ken, I actually think that's a good idea for people getting started, because it is seat time that's important, not sitting on the back of the tow truck on the way back to the pits.
Oh, exactly right. I mean, it maximizes seat time. You've got a beginner isn't the proper word I'm using here, but it is more of an amateur league, and if you're going to risk spending half the time in pit lane in a very short 20-minute sprint race, it's just disadvantageous for everybody, getting the seat time, get good racing in. And one thing with it being a race, there's the time penalty. You go off the track and hit the wall, you still got to make up that time you're going to lose. It sorts itself out, so make sure all the drivers have a really good time maximizing the most they can be out on track.
All right, and speaking of that, we're going to run through your season points here as qualifying gets underway, and we have 3 classes here: the Aliens, Inter 1, and Inter 2, and there's your Alien standings. It is Case from Mikovits, from Velasco, from Poborgi, from Oladipo, I know I'm saying that wrong, and Chris Eggert, they're in P6. So that is your fastest and most experienced group out here. And here's your Inter 1s. You got Corwin from Cotcher, from Cook is your podium after 3 weeks, followed by Ganesh and Lopez. And next we will bring up our Inter 2. This is our largest class. You can see 18 cars there. We got Jason Trantham up front of that, followed by Cardenas and Duval on the podium. Posada, Conway, Dujak, Dillon, Hagen, Grudsky, and Brashear will round out the top 10 of the Inter 2. And there is the rest of your grid there as we scroll through that. We've got a couple of goose eggs down at the bottom. There may be some folks here that have showing up for the first time or signed up and didn't show to race, but there are your points so far as with a few races behind us. Oh my goodness, hold your brakes, folks. And that is just a taste of the mayhem that we may be seeing later. And what you're looking at now is we are currently about 2 minutes into a 15-minute open qualifying session. So if you're used to having the entire track to yourself for qualifying in these iRacing events, they don't do it that way here. They do it the real life way, where you have to go out with everybody else on the grid and do your best to warm up your tires, set a qualifying time. So the qualifying times are just starting to tick across here. There is an option to stop and get fresh tires if you think that is beneficial, or you just stay out there, grind out the laps the best you can, and set that qualifying position. I think track position is going to be important in this one. Kenan, what do you say?
Track position is going to mean everything for what kind of fight you're going to have to do within the race. Stephen Case came out hot first lap out, 109.894. That's close to what we saw in practice. We did see a little faster, but for a first time out lap, that's a pretty good pace to be having. It'll be interesting to see who can catch up to him as they start coming by and the laps start coming in. I would expect to see people stay out a few laps, see what they can do. I think if teams start to pit, take fresh tires for a second one, you may see once the track warms up a little bit in this qualifying session, you can get a little better lap time.
Yeah, and Case lighting the wick. That is ice cold tires and full fuel, and he's throwing down. He's about a half second ahead of the P2, and as you'll recall, Case last week at Fuji, more or less driving away from the field. I think he ended that race with 5 to 10 second gap. I think turned into a track day for him. So Case, the man to beat here today, and is showing why already he's down to 109.7. With Justin Snyder, Cotcher, and Cook lingering around behind him within about a half second. The next alien driver, Poborgi, is about 7/10 behind Case. So Case might have been sandbagging a little bit and having a relaxed practice, but he has lit the wick now.
Yeah, he's certainly getting faster. The car's getting lighter and the tires are getting warmer. I'm kind of surprised to see that Justin Snyder and Jason Cotcher haven't put together a little better lap time already. They're now working their third lap under qualifying, and a little disappointed to see. Maybe they weren't expecting those laps, so they've been taking it easy, and there you see going wide. So they'll have to regroup and get it ready for a good exit in 12 and 13 for another lap. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen more contest already to the top.
Yeah, and plenty of time left, though. These laps are ticking by fairly quick, just over a minute. With a 15-minute qualifying session, you got to think they're going to get 10 or 11 or 12 qualifying laps out if they elect to not take tires and not do any stopping. But so far, again, taking a look at that timing tower, it's Case by a mile in the Inter Alien. Snyder is in provisional P2, and that'll be P1 in the Inter 1 class. It looks like Navas, about 7/10 off the pole, sitting in P6 overall, is have the pole in Inter 2 so far. But yeah, plenty of time left, only about a third of the way through this, and takes a little bit on these lighter cars to get the tires hot as we ride along with the spinner there. I didn't catch the name, but yeah, these curbs are tempting. I think you want to maybe kiss them, but I don't think you want to do anything to them that'll make their daddy show up. What do you say, Ken?
Yeah, I think from the driver's perspective, you're probably doing everything you can to make sure you stay off them. The risk versus the reward in a lot of these areas is just not worth it. There are a few corners right there, the turn 6, 7, 8, the S's. You can use a little bit, they're kind of a flatter curve, but many of the corners, especially turns 1, 2, and 3, the inside corner, it's a very high curve. You see it right there, the car's going to basically beach itself if you go too far over. It's just lose all control and traction that you'll have. You're going to see a lot of people prefer to stay away, and the ones that don't are going to probably be the ones we'll talk about a little bit later on down the road.
Those curbs are brutal, and we're going to take a spin here with Trantham and watch his lap and see where we are at on the track. And my apologies, I'm not super familiar with this place. Super fun though, and it looks like we're coming onto the pit straight right now. So we're going to be getting to terminal velocity and keep an eye on. He doesn't have. Looks like he only got attack on the steering wheel there, so can't give you the terminal velocity down here. But this is the fast part of the track. Got to trail brake it around this first corner and just kind of flirting with that curb. Maybe giving it a little pat, a little kiss, but don't want to hit him too hard. And look at the size of that curb right there. I picture those Australian V8 supercars banging over those without breaking a sweat. But these F4 cars are not going to like bouncing over those big ones. And here we are now onto the back straightaway now. And as I told you, it's a couple of straightaways linked together by some interesting combos. And I love this section right here as they kind of wind downhill through the S's. Ragged edge of destruction. Another one of those big curbs right there. We are going to see some incidents right there, Kenan, as people try to negotiate those and fail. And very quick laps here. Ticking through and coming into the final section, and I believe, back onto the pit straight. So that is a minute and a touch there, a quick lap around Sandown. And you can see that this is going to be some crazy stuff here today, folks. If you get crowded off into one of those curves, it is going to be disaster for you and potentially the person who pushed you over.
Yeah, you can see that was actually quite a nice lap for the Trentham. He kept a very good line, very smooth, and he had no traffic to do with the entire lap, which the couple straightaways that can help with the draft. Some of these corners are so fast that, like he says, they come down this downhill section. You see the car catching the curve and going wide. It's very risk versus reward when you have traffic, because now you're having a player that they get through just as safe as you do.
And a little bit of movement at the top of the timing tower. It looks like we've got all aliens now from 1 to 4, and they've pushed, particularly looking at De Silva. He was the one with a hot lap in practice, and as I suspected, he might have had some draft assistance on that as he now sits in P10. The fastest Inter 1 driver is Snyder, sitting now in P5, but up top it's Case from Pavorji from Eggert, and as you can see those intervals there, only 15 100ths of a second separating those top cars, and Mikovits just a couple of ticks behind them. So we may be getting down into about as fast as these F4 cars are going to go. Keeping an eye on Case now. Be interesting to see if he can increase that gap. Pavorji all over him, under a tenth behind him, and he will be interesting to see if Danush can get past Case, and at the same time, if Case can make that gap a little tougher for him to fight through.
Yeah, Pavorji put down a really nice lap, and I don't know if he'll have enough time to put another one together like that, but if he can find himself a good spot with maybe a little drafting hope, I think that might be able to get him over the edge. He's going to have to make sure he's working with one of the top competitors to be able to get that kind of time as well. So it's looking pretty fierce up top. I mean, you're still looking at the top 13, top 14 cars, all are separated within a second of each other, which is a pretty good covering between 3 different classes. So you're going to see a lot of tight racing when we get to race time here, for sure.
Yeah, that is wild. And if you're willing to give me 2 100ths, my timing tower shows the top 19 cars within 1.02 seconds. So really good competition here. And shout out to everybody who is actually at the brick and mortar facility here. And I should mention that our sponsor here today, Sim Racers Group, has a brick and mortar sim racing facility in San Jose. I think they've got 10 rigs there. So 10 of these guys that you're watching here tonight are there, sitting in the Sim Racers Group facility on the east side of San Jose. And obviously they got 33 cars. There's a lot of people playing the old-fashioned way over the internet, but it's kind of fun that these guys kind of all get together, spend time actually sitting next to each other. Sim racing can be a little bit isolating sitting in one's basement, so ask me how I know. But yeah, it's really fun that they've got this facility, and they're obviously having a great time whenever we interview drivers that have been racing down there. Oof! Oh my goodness, and that's going to leave a mark. But as I said, folks, damage is off, so no fear. That car will be repaired and back on the track here in a second without having to take a tow. And yeah, qualifying ticking down. About 3 minutes left. Time for a couple laps. If you cross start finish before the clock hits 0, you will get to finish that lap. So qualifying will extend a little beyond that 15-minute timer. But oh my God, just this is going to be a wild race, kid. And just look at the action we're seeing in qualifying. And I love seeing these F4 cars attack that downhill S section. There's going to be some wild stuff going on tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be quite mayhem when we get them all lined up 2 by 2 and send them on their way. It'll definitely be an interesting run down to one, especially the open part of the course is almost the tighter section compared to the back half of the course. So everybody's going to be bunched up. They're going to be amped up. Only a 20-minute race. You've got to get what you can get. You've got to do it quick. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we've got a really good race on our hands tonight. Happy to be here.
Yeah, taking a look at Swan back there. He just completely launched over the curb on the outside there. And I haven't done any laps out here. I don't know if that is an off track or not, but I'm guessing that is not the fast way through that corner, as he was barely able to keep that F4 car on the track. But yeah, things winding down here. Case was able to stretch that gap back to Poborgi. Now Poborgi sitting about 2300s back of Case, and up front it's Case from Poborgi from Velasco is your provincial podium in Alien. In the Inter 1 class, it's Wang from Snyder from Lopez, and Inter 2, the Cardenas from Brashear from Navas in 1, 2, and 3. So pretty good. Man, look at those cars are jammed together. We've got some competitive, tight field out here today, and looking forward to a good race here for you.
Yeah, you can see everybody's now left and they're all trying to put themselves in the right position, try and get a good draft. See the car go wide there. That's definitely an off track, so that is not going to count. But everybody's trying to push everything they can out of it. You see the shades kind of hit there in 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I reckon that might have been a slowdown as well, as somebody was kind of overcooked the entry to that S and ended up cutting a big part of it, turned it from an S into the letter L. And iRacing takes a dim view of that and probably got a substantial slowdown there. And yeah, I haven't driven this track yet, but boy, oh boy, it's awful tempting. Looks like these guys are having a good time as qualifying runs out. About 20 seconds left. Not a lot of changes up top. Yeah, it is still a Case with 2 tenths. And look at Poborgi and Velasco packed together by 3 1,000ths. And Eggert right there, too, about 600s back. So the Alien class, tight and competitive as always. Wang, Snyder, and Lopez in Inter. We saw Wang kind of flirting with the back of the Alien class at Fuji last week. He actually had a crack at a podium toward the end of that one. So Wang continuing his success here in these F4s. And I think Cardenas Bashir and a novice there in the top of Inter 2 also have done well in these past weeks. So the guys up front are driving consistently and performing pretty good so far here at Sandown.
Separate a little bit. You see Cardenas looking like he'll get the pole in the Inter 2 class with a little bit of a mix up. Top 10 has certainly separated themselves between the Inter Alien group.
Yeah, and the checker is out, and it's like folks are slowing here, so we're not going to have too much of an extension of the qualifying here. So we're taking a look at Posada now, flogging that thing down that hill. Man, that just looks like a blast, and I might have to go for a spin out here after this broadcast. This track looks like a hoot. A little surprised I haven't been on it yet, but these guys are definitely having fun of driving the wheels off of these F4 cars as our last couple of qualifiers come across the line. So we're going to have that starting grid for you here in just one moment, and then the racing action is going to start. It is a short one, folks, a 20-minute sprint, and looks like a nice sunny day here in Melbourne, so we're not going to have the rain drama that we've had in past races. The track is pretty friendly in terms of track temp. I'm showing about 78 Fahrenheit. So despite the high sun and the sunny day, it looks like we're going to have a nice grippy track here for these guys to go to war. So in just one moment, we'll get that grid up for you. And in just one moment. And holy cow, last minute, where did Jeff Silge come from? Sitting in P2, but row one's going to be Case next to inner one driver Jeff Silge. Then Poborgi and Velasco behind them. Mikovits and Eggert will share row three. Then it's Wang and Snyder, Lopez and Cotcher, Ganesh next to Cardenas in 11 and 12. And as we scroll along here, uh-oh, I can hear Mike breathing back there. Oh, there we go. There's Josh Corr next to Brashear, Navas next to Cook, De Silva next to Conway. It's Bujak and Posada in 19 and 20. Leslie next to Jason Trantham in 21 and 22. Swanbeck next to Duvall in 23 and 24. Is the time ticking down here. Let's see. Grinsky next to Dylan, Meyer next to Vase, Hyde next to Wagner in 29 and 30. Day will be next to Shresh Kumar, and Samudio next to Paul Myrick there. And last but not least, row 17. And as we wait for the lights here, take a look at the timer. Looks like there's a couple of cars not yet on the grid. If these guys don't grid up, iRacing will force to start here in about 25 seconds. So whichever of those things happen first. And interesting grid formation here, Ken. Those cars are not offset at all, so they're going to start looks like to me virtually side by side on that blast down into turn one, with Case looks like he's going to have the outside line, isn't he, into turn one. So that's interesting. Silch has done himself a favor by posting that P2 time here.
Yeah, get a good start. He'll have a good opportunity to look for the lead going into one. He's here with the lights. Lights are off.
All right, and we are green. Yeah, Silge looking good, and you know, I was wrong. Case did have the inside there. And there is Brashear on a spin there. He definitely had some help there, some kind of kerfuffle there on turn one, and I hate to say to be expected, but that was to be expected. Leaders, though, getting away clean. It's Case from Silge, from Velasco, from Borgi, from Mikovits as your top five, and they are already lined up in single file, and the front of the pack getting away very cleanly, and all kinds of bent cars in the back. I see Cardenas lost 18 positions, Brashear down 17, so there is some kind of serious mayhem that took place there in turn one, and we will get back to that on replay here in a moment. But my goodness, these laps ticking by so quickly, and there's somebody off into the, was that Wang? Wang has biffed it. He is off in the kitty litter and into the barrier. So all that hard work he did to get that pole in intermediate one out the window, as Wang is picking the kitty litter out of his teeth and out of his tires right now. And we're going to back up, and here is Wang, and cold tires, and goes for a ride over one curb, then over another, and then biff. Nothing to slow him down except that barrier and some kitty litter. Not as hard a hit as I thought initially, but still Wang taking a ride way down the starting order. I'm trying to find him here on my timing sheet. I don't even see him, but he's certainly far from where he was in P1. We'll take a look at Trantham here, getting swamped. Oh my goodness. Burned on the inside, hit from behind, and a tough one for the boss there, Trantham, as he's in heavy traffic as they're approaching the last set of curves before the front straight, and it is mayhem here at Sandown.
Yeah, Chris Wang, he just overcooked the car and caught both the curves. That's going to unsettle the car pretty rough. I don't think he lost a lot of time due to damage, but he fell back to 16th, and he's got a long way to go down the field. Yeah, Diego running wide here, so we'll see what happened with that. Oh, it looks like he gets a little help from the 56.
That 56 car using Posada as a braking device there instead of the brake pedal, and sending him for a ride. Oh, and there's a little scrap in there. Velasco wants to get past Silge. He said, nice qualifying, friend, but you're not going to run in front of me. Only on lap 3, Velasco has pushed his way through, and Case, meanwhile, driving away. It's deja vu all over again for him. 2.3 second gap already on lap 3. Only 3 minutes into this one. Velasco pushes through past Shields, and now Poborgi is going to be looking to get past the inner one driver. He's got about 0.3 gap, and here is a great shot. That is Velasco looking back at Shilji, and that is Poborgi as all over him now. He's got that gap down to about 2/10, and I would say that inner driver's glory days up in the front of this pack are going to be over here shortly.
Yeah, Poborgi and Velasco, they were just watching Stephen Case just pull away again, just like he did last week, and I think they're wanting to get by so they can start maybe trying to put a little dent on the lead that's been sitting up in the first 4 laps.
4 laps already. My goodness, these races go by quick. And again, overall, it's Case from Velasco, from Silge from the time being. Silge, massive pressure from behind from Poborgi. And in the inner one, it's the aforementioned Silge in P3 overall, followed by Snyder and Lopez. Pretty significant gap. Silge did himself well in qualifying. He's got about 5-second gap to P2 in his class. And in inner 2, it's Navas from Trantham from Buziak, and Navas looks like he has about, I'm going to say about a 2-second gap back to Trantham and Buziak. And as you look at our timing tower there, folks, look, my goodness, and that is a turn. Talking and staring at the timing tower will get me every time. We'll get a replay of that as soon as we can. But Velasco coming to blows with somebody there, and it did not turn out well.
Yeah, Jeff Shield just got in there too hot coming down the S's and got his front bumper into the rear of Velasco. Nothing Velasco can do there. I don't think he really overdrove the corner or stopped earlier, but the car behind him just did not quite get rode down early enough. That contact's going to be a major hurt to Velasco in his effort this race. That's a big setback, and I'm sure he's not happy behind that wheel right now, knowing that he got turned. So I have to pay attention to the pit lane for the rest of the time.
Yeah, bummer for him. Velasco all the way down to P7, which is a loss of 3 positions, and Shilji there clearly just blowing the breaking point in that last part of the S's. And here is another replay. Oh my goodness. And you just see that F4 car kind of pirouetting on that high curb on the under tray there. And that's how high these curbs are. These F4 cars are not even having wheels touch the ground if they cross the curb. So got to stay away from those. Pro tip, your grip is way better with the rubber touching the track. And oh my goodness, coming to blows again. And that is Schneider going for a ride there on replay. His competitor kind of over pressing from behind, overcooking that entry. A little bit of contact turns that car. And as we go through some more mayhem, we're going to take a look at Wagner here. And Wagner does his buddy there a favor and goes evasive and ends up in the grass. Doesn't hit anything though. Pretty good evasive, but that's going to cost him a couple. And wow, and great job by our producer keeping track of all this mayhem early. It was a messy one as we got going here at Sandown.
Yeah, that was a pretty good save to keep it off of the wall. So he's probably been unlucky inside that car that he's able to just spin and continue so easily.
And taking a look now at Poborgi, that is Eggert right behind him. He's got about a 0.3 gap, and Silgi still lingering around there as well. And Stephen Case has driven away again, Kenan. My goodness, 4-second interval. And I'm not really sure how he's doing it. I mean, I guess there was a little bit of battling between 2, 3, and 4 behind him, but he just lightened the wick and driving away. And this is the second week in a row we've seen him do it.
Yeah, and fastest lap 109.7 over the whole field. He's pretty much putting it on. I think he's definitely making a statement for himself to win the championship this year.
And there we saw Eggert taking advantage of that draft down the pit straight, sticking it on the inside of turn 1, and it's now Case from Eggert from Poborgi. And Poborgi's not giving up, though. That gap only 0.4, and you see somebody high centered there. Oh my goodness, I was talking about those cars. That car may be stuck, and he might be taking a tow, despite the fact that damage is off. If you can't go, you got to take the tow, and my goodness, a bummer for him. And you said that was Posada. We're going to take another look at that, see how he managed to get high centered here.
Locked up in right front there. He gets a little over the curve. Oh, and he's going to get a little bit of help there from the 92. And he lets the car roll back just a little too much and beached it right on top of the curb. You don't often see that with these cars, but he's not going anywhere to get out of that. Look at the front tires on the ground. You hate to see that.
Picturing him rocking back and forth in his sim seat, trying to get that F4 car to move, and probably not working. See Greg Meyer doing a long drag of that left front into the S section. That's not going to do him any favors. And Kenan, I think that's kind of the whoa. Oh, yeah. And there's the result of having that overheated tire. What I was going to say was I think that's the next bit of realism that we may see out of iRacing is flat spots. So those of you with those high quality force feedback wheels can feel what that feels like to drag a tire down the track like that. And it is not pleasant. Meanwhile, Poborgi has gotten back past Eggert as these two got a little game of leapfrog going, which happens on these draft heavy courses.
Yeah, I think they're trying to work together right now. They've put a very slight dent into Stephen Case's lead. They're going to have to do a little bit more in the second half of the race if they want to get all the way back to him. But if they work together and leapfrog down the front stretch and the back stretch, it's going to help them each gain lap time. Right now, the goal isn't to race for second. You want to get back up and have a chance to go for first.
Yeah, a little train forming there. Poborgi from Eggert, from Shilji, and from Mikovits there, all covered by just over a second, all of those cars. So, and Shilji, I know I'm mispronouncing your name, and I'll get it right next time. My apologies, but keep pedaling. You're looking good so far, aside from that one error, and Velasco might not agree with me that he's looking good, but he's putting down some fast lap times and hanging with the aliens so far. And my goodness, these races go by so quickly. We are at the halfway point already. And again, it is Case from Poborgi from Eggert in Inter 1, and Silgi from Lopez from Cotcher, and Trantham from Navas from Bujak in Inter 2. And take a quick look at Trantham. That is the boss man and your Inter 2 leader. He's probably driving down in the Sim Racers Group facility in San Jose in that 28 car. And we'll stick with him for a second as he navigates down that hill through those S's. And my goodness, that just looks like a blast. And he's in a pretty good train of cars as well. As you see, look at our timing tower. Those yellow intervals are between 0.5 and 1 second intervals, and the orange are under 0.5. So a lot of these cars packed together. And as Kenan told you in the lead up, on these courses with long straightaways, the slipstream will suck these cars together. They'll train up a little bit and can create a lot of passing opportunities, and we've certainly seen that.
Yeah, that's what you saw there. You had a couple of 3-car packs, and they slowly become a 6-car pack, and now they're holding tight. The more cars you get with the pack, the faster, in theory, you should be. It all just kind of depends on going down the downhills and not running into everybody to maximize the lap time, because that is an excellent shot right there. You can just see the way they have to hang out the rear end to get the car to turn. And that is one of the few corners where sliding through it will probably be faster than trying to slow down and take it head on.
Yeah, that was nuts. Poborji flogging that F4 car down the hill. You saw him fully sideways, sliding across that curb, and that is the result of a lot of practice. Poborji has put in his time, obviously, at Sandown, and is showing it now. And that interval up front between Case and Poborji, it's he got a little nibble out of him. It's been hovering around 5 seconds. He got a couple tenths out of him, but he doesn't have a lot of time left. And now that interval is dropping. And if something happened to Case, that interval is down to less than 4 seconds now. All of a sudden, Case a little off pace. His last lap was a 1:10.7, so might have had a little error by Case. We'll see if we can find a replay of that for you if it was an error. Here we are riding along with Case, though. And Poborji reeling him in a little bit here all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting drop. It'll be interesting to see what might have happened there. I wonder if maybe getting through that. Yeah, I think turns 2 and 3, the lap car might have held him up there, and it's such a tight corner, and you don't want to get too close to the corners in 2 and 3. I think he maybe decided to play it safe and give up a second of time to know he gets by the lap car and not get handled.
Producer Mike pointing out that the leaders are hitting back markers right now, and that may have been what happened to Case. Hit a lapped car at the wrong time and lost a big chunk of that lead. That gap now under 4 seconds, so lost a second there, and oh my goodness, there is Trantham overcooking that turn 1. Careful on that curb, and you want to try to trail brake it down there into turn 1 to avoid overslowing and help you get that car to rotate. But we've seen a number of people not quite get that balance right and loop it right there in turn 1.
Yeah, it's a corner you want to push in, and every lap you do it, you think you can get a little bit more in it, as we see Novice Molina going around there before the back straightaway. Thankfully, he didn't beach it on the curb, and he's continued on.
Yeah, they should have a little no parking sign right there, because we almost saw the second car of the race get high centered and stuck on that curbing, which is something you don't see every day. So another feature of racing down under here at Sandown outside of Melbourne. So 3/4 of the race down, and Poborji, with the help of traffic, has managed to eat into that lead a little bit, only 3.4 seconds up to Case. So it's Case from Poborji, from Eggert, from Mikovits. Mikovits has fallen off out of that train a little bit, and so has Silji. So the gaps are starting to open up a little bit. Inner 1 is still Silji from Lopez, from Cotcher, and in inner 2, it's Bujak from Navas, from Trantham. And Trantham must have had some kind of issue. He was leading not long ago. Now he looks like he's about 5 seconds off the lead in inner 2. But a lot of action here for you folks. It's tough to track everything that happens up and down the field, 34 cars. But we hope that you're enjoying this broadcast. We're certainly enjoying watching and calling this one.
Yeah, and here's Trantham. I think this is where he had his issue and lost the lead. He gets into 1, you see the left front locks up and the rear kicks around. Didn't lose too much time. Didn't do a complete spin out either, but that certainly cost him a good 4 or 5 seconds. And there you go. You see the race for the lead takes place right there.
Yeah, it's tough one. I realized that we did talk about that one, and 15 seconds later I already forgot about it. But yeah, that's what happened to Trantham. And up to lap 14 now, taking a look at Case, hitting some more traffic, and can Poborji, although that lap car diving out of the way for the leader. And at this point, Case has and what, I missed something there. Oh my goodness, little pile up there.
Pile up there in 2 and 3. I don't know exactly who it was. It was just in front of the leader. But the leader did evade through the grass and seemed to get through safely. Here we see Vase is
yeah, that was Vase running in P26, and here is a replay of Cardenas here, same place.
Yeah, Ember Hyde loses it in front of him. Cardenas heads into him. I believe the leader, there's your leader, Stephen Case, just barely gets through the grass. That was quite a risky move to get through that wreck. That could have been out really bad.
Case is just getting reamed by traffic right now. There's no polite way to put it. Yeah, that gap to Poborgy now down to 1.5. So Case was driving away, and Poborgy has hope now. It's Poborgy who actually towing Eggert along behind him. They're right up with Case, and if Case has one more problem with the back marker, they are going to be right with him. That gap all the way down to 1.3. Case has lost 4 seconds out of his substantial lead, and it is all from having to navigate traffic, and that's part of mixed class racing, not a criticism. And traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. It's just as likely that Poborgy will somehow get caught up before this one is over. But so far, it is Case that has been just getting abused by back markers here.
Yeah, we're coming down 3 minutes to go. I'd project possibly 4 laps left in the race, and this one car, I believe it's Cardenas in front of Stephen Case, is the last lap traffic for a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see. But I think what's really happening right now too is Cases have an issue with the traffic, and Poborgy and Eggert are able to really take advantage of the draft as well. So they are right on them. It's now 1.1 seconds coming across the start finish line.
Take a look at another replay here, watching De Silva now going through that difficult 1-2-3 combo here, and those curbs dangerous. Got to get as close to him as possible without touching, and oof, there is a little braking area there at the end. We've seen a couple of mistakes right there. That's where that car got beached earlier on. So that portion of the track proving problematic. And look at Case now. Case jammed up again behind traffic. Poborgy looking ahead. Got to be loving what he's seeing. Poborgy's got that gap down to 1 second, towing Eggert behind him another 0.3. And Case still jammed up behind that back marker. That blue flag does not mean you're awesome. It means look out behind you, because here comes the leader, and that 92 car is going to get out of the way now. But look at that interval now, down to 0.8, and Poborgy has got Case right where he wants him. He's within drafting range, and is he going to be able to get something done in the last 90 seconds? Holy cow, I was not expecting this. I bet Stephen Case was not expecting it, and he's driving in his rearview mirrors right now.
Yes, it is. He's definitely sweating seeing the cars behind him close up, and there's 2 of them. So when they get there, I would imagine it's going to be quite the show, because they're within drafting range. This back stretch is a lot longer than the front stretch, and that's where you're going to see a lot of time made up, I think, between the top 2 and 3.
And I don't think the white flag is out yet. So looking at the penultimate lap, likely right now. So Poborgy has some time to make something happen here. As Kenan told you, there's no more back markers that are going to get involved in this one. So that is your podium right now. Riding along with Eggert, looking forward at Poborgy in Case. That is your podium. 1, 2, 3, separated by about 1.5 seconds, with one more lap to go after this one, as they bomb down this awesome little twisty downhill section. And Case trying to build up that gap. He wants to see a second behind him before they get back on that front straight, and so far not happening. Poborgy hanging tough with about a 0.6. Now it's under 0.6 as they approach that pit straight. One last little kink here down the straightaway, and is Poborgy going to have a crack here at turn 1?
Yeah, he's right on him. Right on him as he takes away flag. The draft, he's right there. He's almost under 0.5 second now. And that downhill part, he did gain almost 2.2 of a second when we get through that final sector. So he may get a chance at one good hard braking shot to go for the lead.
And we'll ride along with Danush here. He is running out of opportunities. That gap is under 0.5 of a second now. And there is a slow car up ahead. I think it's too far away to play a role here, but anything is possible. And we'll look at that slipstream go to work. That gap is now under 0.3. There's a couple of back markers here, actually. Poborgy loving what he's seeing right now. Look at that gap dropping down that long back straightaway. In Case almost gets contact with a back marker there, and Poborgy almost got dealt a huge favor by that back marker. Case is going to have to cover the inside coming into this last combination. I think he is going to hold on, but oh my goodness, traffic school is a place that Case did not want to be tonight. Manages to hold on by 0.3, but between traffic ahead of him and relentless pressure by Poborgy from behind him, Case had his work cut out for him today. Manages to get it done. Holy cow, what a race.
Yeah, he's worked so good that first 10 minutes of the race to get such a good lead, and then it just seemed like the whole last 10 minutes he was just managing not giving it away, and he was able to hold on there even with that last lap traffic. But that was quite a thrilling finish. I really thought Pavorji had a chance to try and lunge at him, but chose to take the safer route and maybe save themselves from some contact. But excellent finish. That was excellent racing.
And taking a look at that 36 car, that is Daniel Bujak, who is going to take the inner two victory here as he rolls past the checker. It looks like Trantham was able to fight back a little bit, got back through Navas, and like Duvall got past Navas as well. Trantham able to salvage a little bit after that spin we saw in turn one, and he'll put himself up into P2 in the inner two class. Couple of photo finishes here toward the back of the field, and Chris Wang, after a tough one, he had the pole position in his class and he falls to P19, as I think we briefly showed him rolling across. So holy cow. We were talking about this actually last week after the last show at Fuji ended, about what madness we were going to see here at Sandown, and my goodness, it has happened. We had all the craziness that you could want out of this one, and some great driving, and a really fantastic finish up front. So I think, yeah, there we go. There are your race results. I'll run through those with you now. Stephen Case wins it by about 4/10 after immense pressure and some traffic difficulties, manages to hang on to the lead. Pavorji will be in P2, Eggert and Mikovits in third and fourth. There is Jeff Silge there, coming off of the pole, had a couple of rough moments. May owe an apology to Velasco here after this one, after turning him, but Silge qualified really well, managed to stick with the aliens through most of this one, sitting in P5. That is P1 in Inter 1. And there's Velasco in 6. Then Adrian Lopez and Cotcher in 7 and 8. That is 2 and 3. The rest of your podium in Inner 1. Then it's Snyder from Corwin rounding up the top 10. Then Ganesh. Then we just showed Daniel Bujak crossing the line. He is P1, 2 and 3 in Inner 2 are Bujak, Trantham, and Duvall, which takes us down to P15 Navas. Chris Cook in 16. Little surprised to see him back there. He had a pretty good run last week, not able to make it happen here down under, and followed by Brashear and Grinsky there in 17 and 18. And that is the first part of your finishing results. We will keep it going. Chris Wang there, I mentioned him in P19. Swanback, Dillon, Van Wagner, Cardenas, Vase, and Meyer will take you through 25 minutes. Sumudo, Hyde, Leslie, Day, and De Silva is your top 30. Then Church Kumar, Posada, Conway, and Paul Myrick. And looks like the last, I'm going to say 29 through 34, last 5 cars taking the finish from pit road after incidents. So my goodness, that is Sandown, and my goodness, Ken, that was everything that I imagined it would be. And let me take a quick peek out here. If I can escape from what I'm doing, I'll take a look out in the interview area.
Race delivered everything I was told about. My first trip down here to Sandown, and everything I heard, it fully delivered on. I mean, that was wild racing start to finish. Didn't expect the lap traffic to play such a role in the way it did, but that definitely got quite interesting. And I guess it's just a very short track, and the differences in times you kind of see, and a lot of the different mistakes that cost you time. That's kind of how the traffic gets back there. But Stephen Case still, even with the struggles he had, managed the traffic well enough to get the win.
Yeah, managed to get exciting there at the end too. That was some crazy stuff. And taking a look out in the hallway, looks like we got a couple of drivers waiting to speak to us. And I'll go ahead and bring in Jason Cotcher. Welcome, Jason, to the booth. It looks like you managed a P8 overall, which is 2 up from your qualifying position. You're on the podium in Inter 1, taking 3rd place in that class. So my goodness, we were thinking that there was going to be some mayhem involved in running these F4 cars around between the curbs and between the Armco here at Sandown, and that's certainly how it turned out. So how did you avoid getting caught up in any of that, and how was the race from your perspective?
Yeah, it's Belle Isle in my mind. When I was working on it in practice, it's fast, narrow curbs and walls. So I was trying to put the word out to the crew. This is not a place to be over aggressive. It's not a place to be super bold. Qualifying well is going to help, sort of in a Monaco theme. Not a whole lot of passing opportunities. So I was up front. And then just kind of lucky, I guess. I mean, I saw Corwin and Wang spun in front of me, and then it was pretty clean for me. I'm not so fast as to run with the elite guys. They get away from me a little bit, but I'm happy to find my own bubble kind of whenever I can. And I'll tell you, if you want to be humbled in sim racing, start your own league. Bring 40 kids into play and find out that you're 10th real quick. But I joke. I mean, I love these guys in the community. So yeah, when I was practicing, I knew it was going to be wild and tried to put the word out that cooler heads would prevail. But in the end, racing is racing. It's all blood and adrenaline, and hopefully, it was an entertaining show.
Oh, it absolutely was, and we talked about it starting at the end of the show from Fuji that this was going to be a wild one, and it definitely panned out that way. You guys put on a fantastic show, and congratulations to you again on that P3, keeping it clean and finding your way onto the podium through all the smoking carnage that was all around you throughout that one. So as we wrap up, Jason, is there anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to today?
Yeah, when you're running a sim racing shop with 12 computers, there will inevitably be computer problems. Alex Velasco is a super cool guy, IT guy, came in on Sunday out of the goodness of his heart to straighten us up. That was a big help. I mean, you guys at Slow Motion Broadcasting, I think everyone is just really loving it. And the further we get, the more we appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And the community as a whole. I mean, I realize you're only supposed to shout out one guy. I shouted out 100, but I can build the place. If they don't come and play, it folds pretty quick. And they've jumped on it. They've loved it. People are sticking around, and friends are telling friends. So it's been a great time, and especially in challenging times in our country, it's fun to forget about life for a half an hour and just do some racing with your friends. So just super grateful for the community to come and play. But yeah, really, really great time. Entertaining show. My hands are still shaking right now. I'm trying to catch my breath. The sim racing, man, your brain tells you it's real. I don't know if you've seen, but there's guys in the community wearing heart rate monitors, and they're at 130 beats per minute. So it's as real as it gets, I think, at this point, and just a whole lot of fun. So thank you guys very much.
Absolutely. And thank you, Jason. Congrats again on that podium. And that is Jason Cotcher, the maestro that brings together the sim racing group and has that fine facility there in San Jose. So next let's check in with Jose Navas. And I think I saw your name on the grid here. Yeah, it looks like you got a P15 overall and fourth in class. Jose, welcome to the commentators booth. Thanks for coming by and chatting with us. And that one was a little bit messy. It seemed like keeping it clean was a big part of success. So how were you able to make that work and come in with a P4 today?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. Yeah, it's clearly not driving to the limit was the key on that race. The curbs are just insane. So going a little bit wide means that you're gonna go flying, end up in the wall. So definitely you want to leave something um on the table. I was super like super conservative on the first couple of laps, and that cost me some positions. But it's exactly that, right? By being conservative, other people end up spinning out. I see that a couple of people end up getting DQ'd. So yeah, so keeping it clean was the key today. Even though I've had like my fair amount of incidents, I got tapped a couple of times, but still being able to keep it fourth, that was pretty good.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. Keeping out of trouble and keeping it chill, man. That looked like kind of a high stress race. Those big curbs that you mentioned, we actually saw a car have to take a tow because it was high centered on one of those curbs. So the curbing built for Australian supercars, maybe, but not for these F4 cars. So you were definitely running the gauntlet, and a great job and a great finish for you. So as we wrap up, Jose, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Yeah, today I will just gonna say a shout out to my sister. She's back in Spain and she's sick, so I just wanna let her know that I really love her. So that's the shout out today.
Excellent. Well, your best wishes from all of us to your sister. I'm sure she'll get better soon. And thanks for coming in and chatting with us. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.
All right. And that was Jose Navas. And we got one more participant here that wants to come in and chat with us. This is Joshua Corwin, who cracked the top 10 by moving up 3 positions during the course of the race. He got a P5 in inner 1 out of it. And Josh, these interview questions have been a little bit repetitive because you guys were just kind of facing a gauntlet with all the curbs and all the incidents and crashes and spins out there in Sandown. We kind of figured it was going to be that way. So how were you able to have a clean race and pop into the top 10?
Well, it could have been a little cleaner around lap. Let's see, what was it? Lap 5. I was following Adrian Lopez and Justin Snyder, and they came together into turn 1, and I had to go offline a bit, screwed up my exit. I high-sided over the exit of turn 1 curbing, did like a rail slide down it and off into the grass. So for a second there, I was in 5th, then I dropped back down to 13th and clawed my way back up to 10th. But there was a lot of lap traffic, and I just didn't have enough time to catch Jason and to catch Justin. So I'm happy with the result. I wish I would have been a little higher and didn't have that off track. But fun, clean, and didn't make contact with anybody, and no one punted me. So good race all around.
Yeah. And you got into the low 110s in terms of pace. So you're putting down good laps, consistent and clean. And, it's a long season. Everybody has little incidents here and there, and consistency will pay off in the end, I think. So congrats on a great finish today. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to?
Well, I'm going to consistency is key, because there's been a lot of times I've been around faster drivers and I've been just a tiny hair bit more consistent and been able to push past. But thanks to Jason for everything that he does. Thanks to all my competitors for making me push harder. And thanks to my friends and family who are watching at home, Rob from Z Car Garage, and my parents, Bonnie and Keith.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming by and chatting with us, Josh, and we will see you next week at Winton.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. That is going to conclude our interviews here today. And I think I hear Mike talking in my ear. I think we're going to run through upcoming events here on SMB. And don't forget, we have kind of nonstop action. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification icon so that you don't miss anything. And coming up on Tuesday, that Mustang tells you that we got muscle cars racing at 9:00 on Tuesday. And Mike, I've misplaced my script. Where are these cars running on Tuesday? I'm putting Mike on the spot because I'm failing at Discord right now, if you can believe that. So where are they running? Okay, sorry. Oh, Navarra. Okay, Navarra. Oh, well, that will be an interesting track for those big V8 cars. So make sure and tune in for that. And on Wednesday, we've got Ray Esports. Well, actually has the week off. I should just give Mike a microphone and have him go through this. He's probably do better at it than I'm doing right now. Excuse me. And here is, hang on one second.
And next week, we will have the SRG guys at Winton, just since my announcer couldn't get the time correct. And then on Ray Esports on Saturday, the Weekend Warrior Formula Vs will be coming from Sachsenring. And then Sunday, the Formula Fords will be running from Red Bull, and the Spec Racers from Long Beach. And then you got the XSLR guys. They're going to be running at Atlanta Motor Speedway Rallycross layout. You're welcome.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mike Braun. The wheels completely fell off my brain right there for reasons unknown. Yeah, as I said, don't forget to subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Hit that notification icon so you don't miss any of the action. We have got some of the best cars, best tracks, and best drivers in the business. And as you saw tonight, there is no shortage of entertainment here on SMB. So that is going to wrap it up. And as we conclude our week 4 broadcast of Sim Racers Group F4 Racing, coming to you from Australia, I am. Oh, who am I? Can we get that again? Sorry, I JR Gregory here on behalf of my colleague Ken Miller, on behalf of Mike Braun, and on behalf of everyone here at SMB. Thank you so much for joining us for today's broadcast. Have a fantastic Wednesday and enjoy the rest of your week.